Sorry for the interruption. Let's again start that what we have discussed. As all of you know that we have completed with unit number 4, that is getting started with Linux. That means unit number 1, 2, 3, 4 all are the theoretical topics that we have done as far as our subject is concerned. Now it's time to go for some practical session into the operating system concept using Linux and Unix. And practicals in our subject is not possible without installing the operating system in our computer. Now generally what happens, suppose we want to use the Linux operating system, then we have to install that particular operating system separately in our computer. What I want to say is, right now in my computer there is an Windows operating system that I have installed on C drive. Now parallelly, suppose I want to use the Linux operating system called Ubuntu, then I can install it either into the D drive and make my system dual boot. By performing this task, I can use Windows or either Linux operating system. Whenever you come down to the college and perform your practicals in our lab, you will find these two separate operating system into the computer system. But it might occupy maximum number of secondary storage space into the system. So there is a one way. That way is, inside the Windows operating system, you can use the entire Linux operating system by creating a virtual space. So let's see how can we use this particular concept for using Linux operating system into the environment of Windows itself. So for that, two softwares we required. One is the VirtualBox. The icon is there onto the screen. You can see that even we will take a practical that how to install this VirtualBox into the system. So let me show you first the execution of entire VirtualBox, and then we'll go for the installation. Just click on this VirtualBox, it open a window like this. Then there is a one option called Start. Just press that particular button called Start. Wait for the moment which loads the Linux operating system. Within a few seconds, it load the operating system called Ubuntu, which I have already installed in this particular system. Just observe the screen. During the booting of Ubuntu operating system, it configures the internal hardwares like keyboard and mouse, same like Windows operating system. The current procedure which you can observe onto the screen is actually the procedure of operating system called Ubuntu, which loads all the boot sequences. Once all the boot sequences loaded successfully, it will return the dashboard onto the screen. So our first task is to observe the dashboard of Ubuntu. So let's wait for 1 to 2 minutes. During this, it load the entire operating system called Ubuntu successfully. Yes. Now you can see on right hand side corner that just observe all these particular icons. All these icons indicates some procedure which is happening inside the computer system, where the first icon indicates that the procedure which has been done into the hard disk, and it shows the hard disk type. The hard disk type which I have is a SATA. There are various types of hard disk secondary storage devices are available into the market. Right now we will not discuss about all these things, but it shows one current it shows hard disk is continuously busy for loading the operating system called Ubuntu. On a very next icon, it shows about IDE, that is called as Integrated Development Environment, which is handled by the operating system. Then various network and external storage devices icon, and now you can see onto the screen Ubuntu is successfully loaded into the environment of Windows. Now what is the benefit of using this particular hierarchy? Parallelly we can shift, or we can say switch, in between the Linux and Windows. Let me show you how it is possible. Right now just I am giving, it shows that a new version of Ubuntu is available. Ask me later. Just click on the second command button. Now what happens, suppose I minimize this window, I have shifted into the environment of Windows, and suppose I am maximizing this window, again I am switching back into the environment of Ubuntu. So this is the benefit of using VirtualBox. Now if you install Ubuntu and Windows separately into the separate logical drives, then at times we can execute a single operating system only. That means either we can go for Windows or either we can go for Ubuntu. But if we use the same thing with the help of VirtualBox, then parallelly, without wasting a single moment, we can shift from Windows to from Windows to Ubuntu operating system. So that is the benefit of using VirtualBox. Now just observe the desktop of Ubuntu operating system. This is the icons which is given into the Linux. Same like these types of icon that I can find out into the Windows. These are lots many icons that I have created on my dashboard as per my requirement, and these are the icons which is created over the Linux operating system. I am using very less Ubuntu operating system, so that's why there are no more icons are there. Now by default Ubuntu operating system gives Mozilla as a browser, while in Windows by default it gives Internet Explorer as a browser, and externally we can install Firefox, Mozilla, Google Chrome, etc., etc. So these are just comparisons that I am sharing with all of you, which gives the exact difference between the two operating system. Now just observe this particular drawer. This drawer is actually the my computer of Linux operating system. Say for example, suppose I click on this drawer, it opens all the folders and the file in this way. The same like this one. Say for example, suppose I am going in C drive. First what I have done, this PC, then I have selected C. It shows all this file and folder. Same thing in Linux look like this, right? So the difference number 2 is GUI, that is graphical user interface. Windows provide better graphical user interface than the Linux. That's why Windows is more popular than the Linux. This is the second difference. or bifurcation, which is in between the Unix flavor called Ubuntu and a Windows operating system which I am using is Windows 10. Even in Windows 10, I am using the 32-bit operating system, while in Linux there are no such type of allocation tables are there. It's a common environment for Linux. One more thing I would like to share with all of you is that the Apple operating system, which is called as iOS, is basically implemented by taking the concept of Linux. Let me repeat my words. The iOS is implemented by considering the fundamentals of Unix. Anyways, let's go ahead. Now, many more functionalities are there. Say for example, this is the control panel of Linux, that is called as settings. Suppose I am clicking onto the settings, it looks like this onto the screen. This is the control panel of Linux, while the control panel in Windows is look like this. Let me show you the large icon so the bifurcation will be easy. So this is the control panel of Windows and this is the control panel of Linux. Many bifurcations are there, many things are there. Anyways, let's close it. Now suppose I want to restart the Windows operating system. What I have to do? To restart the Windows operating system, I am just going in this Windows icon, then I am pressing this power button, and then suppose I select shutdown, my computer gets shut down. If I select restart, computer gets restarted. Same thing in Ubuntu is over here. Just click on this power button, you will get so many options over here, like about this computer, Ubuntu help, system setting, lock, guest, student, logout, suspend, shutdown, so on so on. So first I will teach you that how to shut down the operating system called Ubuntu. Why it is necessary? Kindly don't close this operating system directly from this close button, because if your Ubuntu get crashed one or more time, it might possible that this particular operating system get corrupted into the system. So just go into the power button, select shutdown, give the confirmation that is shutdown, and then this particular operating system systematically gets shut down from the entire system. So this is the way to start and stop the Linux operating system. Students, already in my system I have set up all these things. So first I have demonstrated that how to use the Linux operating system in our semester number 4. But now we will take a session that how can we set up all these environments. So for that, as I have already communicated with you, you required a virtual box. Let me show you the setup of virtual box. Even you will get this setup from our lab also. This is the setup that I am using. Kindly take this Linux folder from the lab. You will get both the softwares which we required. So first, double click on this virtual box and wait for the instruction. The instruction which comes onto the screen is just to press the next button. But before pressing the next button, just note down the version of this virtual box, that is 5.2.0, and read all this instruction. The setup wizard will allow you to install. Here it gives the option called repair because VirtualBox is already installed in my system. So just press next. Let me remove it, no issue. We'll install it again. I am removing VirtualBox from my system because I want to show you the complete installation. I'm just removing. This icon will disappear from the dashboard. Fine. So as you can see that VirtualBox is successfully removed and my operating system Ubuntu is also removed from the entire system. Now let's start again with the installation of VirtualBox. Just click on this, execute as an administrator, press yes. The message is replaced over here by the setup will install Oracle VM VirtualBox 5.2.0 on your computer. Click next to continue. So just press next. Don't change this default path. Again just press next. Only select two options, that is create a shortcut on desktop and register file association and press next. Press yes and then finally press install. This particular option installs VirtualBox into the system. It will not take more than 2 to 3 minutes to install the complete VirtualBox software into the Windows environment. So let's wait. Now as you can see onto the screen, VirtualBox installation is completed. So the confirmation message is there onto the screen. The message is like this: Oracle VM VirtualBox 5.2.0 installation is complete. So yes, here one more thing is clear: VirtualBox is the property of Oracle company. Just press finish over here. Automatically there is an icon onto the screen which you can see, that Oracle VM VirtualBox. Now whenever you install for the first time in your system, you will get an interface something like this. That means after the successful completion of VirtualBox, just double click on that particular icon. It opens a window like this. Now what we have to do in this, just click on new, give the name of your operating system. Suppose I am giving mvm underscore Ubuntu. Automatically it selects Linux. Then the Linux Ubuntu that I am installing is of 32-bit, so I am selecting Ubuntu 32-bit. Let me cross check it. Yes, it's 32-bit. Fine. So these are the three things that you have to select. Name can be given any. Here I have mentioned that mvm underscore Ubuntu, then Linux, then Ubuntu 32-bit. Just press next. Don't change anything in this particular window. This window provides a facility to the user for setting up memory size for installation of Ubuntu operating system. So keep it as a default. Then the next thing is it asks for creating a virtual space into the secondary storage device. Here just read out this particular message. The recommended size of hard disk is 10 GB. It's a maximum space which is recommended by the operating system called Ubuntu. Now what we have to do in this, select the second option and press create. Now it goes for the file type. So generally in Linux, while we are installing the Linux through the VirtualBox, it creates a file type called VDI, that is Virtual Box Disk Image. Press next. Allocate the storage space dynamically. Again press next. File allocation size, keep it as a default. Press create. It creates something like this. Now as the interface is created, the second step is to start it. So just click on start. All the required setting is done. Now it's time to install the Ubuntu operating system. Now as you press the start, this interface executes and it asks for the image of Ubuntu operating system. So just click on this yellow icon. It browses your computer. Select the ISO file of Ubuntu which we will provide you from our lab. Just click on open and press start button. Now sit back and relax. The Ubuntu operating system get installed in your local system, but just follow the few options which I am going to communicate with all of you. This installation will take 5 to 10 minutes, so wait for that. Don't close anything during the installation of Ubuntu operating system. Now as you can see over here, the installation of Ubuntu gets started by configuring the two most important devices, that is keyboard and mouse. The Ubuntu operating system which we have installed contains the version name called 16.04. Now once all the required file of Ubuntu get successfully loaded, the installation of Ubuntu gets started. by displaying the welcome message. So let's wait for the welcome message. Now, as all the required configuration files are loaded successfully. Fine. So now, as you can see onto the screen, initialization of Ubuntu installation is there onto the screen. Into the first screen, installation requires appropriate language selection. So by default here we are selecting English, then press on install Ubuntu. Once this particular selection executes properly, on a very next screen it asks for downloading the latest updates of Ubuntu. If you have an internet connectivity at your home, I strongly suggest you to click on download updates while installing Ubuntu, but right now, for saving the time, I am not selecting this particular option and just selecting the third option, that is called as continue. Then on the next window, it gives the final confirmation of installing the Linux operating system. So just press on install now. Press continue. Depends on the RAM and the CPU which you have in your system. It takes time to get loaded. Fine. Now by default, it has already taken Kolkata as a location. You can change it with your current city also, current country also, current state also. I'm just keeping it as a Kolkata. Let me select our city, that is Rajkot. Just press on continue. Fine. The next screen is we have to select keyboard layout. So select English US as a keyboard layout and press continue. Then onto the final screen is it asks for your name and your credentials. Here I'm just giving the name called admin. Right now I am not giving any credentials, that means I am not giving any password. Password will be blank. Select login automatically. Press continue. The username you have entered is reserved for use by system admin. Okay, admin is not accessible, so let me give student. Remove password if possible. Fine, we have to give the password, so you can set your password. Don't give username as an admin because it is already reserved by the super administrator of Linux operating system. So over here I have given the ID called student and I have set my password with the selection of login automatically. Just click on continue. Fine, everything is okay. So the installation of Ubuntu gets started as a super user. On the top corner you can see that install as super user, and all the files are get copied from the source, that ISO which I have attached during the installation. It copies all that file from that particular ISO and store inside the secondary storage device called hard disk. Now as a user we don't have to do anything, just keep patient and observe the desktop screen, which returns lot many messages onto the screen. Try to digest all this message, and within 2 to 3 minutes entire installation of Ubuntu operating system gets completed. Now as the Ubuntu gets successfully installed into the system, it returns the message of success. So let's wait for the last message. Again, I would like to repeat one thing. During the installation, don't interrupt this particular sequence. It might corrupt the OS that we wish to install. Just sit back and relax and just observe all the screen which comes during the installation. Almost 80% installation is done. Wait for the 20% completion. Students, you can skip this copying file session because it takes longer time. I have to wait as all the files get installed successfully into the system. Fine, all the files are get copied from the source to the destination. Let's see what will be the next message. The next message is installing the system. That means now it configures all the copied file into the secondary storage device. Even it will take few minutes. keep patience, keep patience. At the time of installation, don't click anything. Just wait for the operating system to get successfully installed in your system. It takes long time. Please wait. As you can see onto the screen, in this installation process, it installs so many files from one folder that is called as i386. I request all the students just go through the Google search and try to find out that what is i386. Still, the installation is not completed successfully into the system. We have to wait for few minutes. Now, as all the major file get installed successfully into the system, the remaining file will get fastly installed into the system. Almost 60 to 70% of final installation is done. Now we have to wait for the confirmation message which returns by the Ubuntu operating system that the installation is done successfully. So sit back and relax and wait for the confirmation message. This installation and its speed is depend on the architecture that you have. That means the hardwares that you have. Lots of time it takes. Let's get completed. So we'll end up our session over here. As this configuration gets completed successfully, the last message you will get onto the screen is the confirmation message, which shows that your installation is completed. Press OK. So you have to just press OK. This installation gets over. Right now, I'm just concluding my lecture by informing that we have successfully installed the Ubuntu operating system through the VirtualBox. Now in our next session, we will go for the practicals through the Linux operating system called Ubuntu. Thank you very much students for listening me and have a nice day. You can stop this particular video. I have to complete this installation, so I am just continuing this video, but you can stop this video, no problem. So now as you can see that final confirmation comes onto the screen. Just press on restart now. So system get restarted and dashboard will be load. So this is the final procedure for installing the Ubuntu operating system. Thank you very much students for listening me and have a nice day.